your host, Ryan Templin, the Reasonable Tech Dad. Got a new friend with us here. We have Josh Stensgard from Sky Armor Exteriors. And from what I understand, Josh has a pretty good story from a college dropout, maybe, to some business ventures. But better than me tell it. I'll let him tell the story. Josh, why don't you let the people know how you got started?
Hey everybody, my name is Josh Stensgard. I'm the founder of the Sky Armor Roofing Siding Windows based out of Woodbury, Minnesota. That is kind of funny. We talk about the college dropout. How I did kind of get into this industry was when I dropped out of Mankato State, I actually initially started a house painting company where we did exterior house painting. Wasn't really a big fan of the doing interior. Everybody kind of sits there and looks at it all day and wants to call you back, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? I got into the roofing, siding, and window space. I was actually after I finished exterior house painting, I was looking for really just the highest paying job, and I filled out applications to 9 different companies. I had one that gave me a salary plus a profit split, and in that position in my life, that salary definitely helped out quite a bit. Um, so many trainings, so many knocking doors over the years. I was at that first company for 5 years. Went to a second company as the regional sales manager, training, bringing up salesmen. And then now, as of last year, I started Sky Armor. We actually initially started as Sky Armor Exteriors, and recently we rebranded to just Sky Armor. And then below we have the clarifier of roofing, siding, windows.
Sick.
Yeah, so when you got exteriors in the name, or you see a company that's just X construction, you get people calling you all the time to do a bunch of miscellaneous stuff like their deck or their if you can do concrete work. And me, I like to have a specialty, and that is roofing, siding, windows.
Nice, dude. Very nice. So then, well, first, let me ask what made you dial in on that specialty? It sounds like you were kind of well rounded and then you went that way. Why?
You know what? I went to go see a Grant Cardone event down in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I learned so much from him. I got a book, and it was essentially top to bottom how to build a business, everything involving sales. And it was so cool. I met this guy named Victor out there, and Victor, in the last, gosh, I think 6 to 10 years, something like that, made $400 million. Yeah. He was just a business guru, and when I was having a conversation with him, I was kind of telling him what I was doing, and he told me you need to specialize, clarify, and do one thing and do it the best. And yeah, so I feel like that's why I'd say 90% of my business is roofing. We do from your cheaper small residential up to big commercial flat roofing, your designer luxury type of roofing like Brava composite, your high quality malarkey with a polymer modified asphalt. I love roofing. That's my thing. I like roofing. And then, with roofing comes siding and windows. And they're very specialty things. And I have studied all of those things for the last 10 years. And I would like to think that I'm very knowledgeable on those 3 topics. Like if I asked you about concrete work, you would have a significant advantage on me there. I feel like that's what I have in the roofing space for everybody else.
Sure, absolutely, dude. And I think that kind of transition to what we usually ask next is like, why are you good? Obviously, you have knowledgeable and you just kind of tapped into that. But like when you go out on bids, and I assume, with the luxury, and if people want to look at your website, skyarmor.us, you have some amazing projects on there, dude. Like some really cool roofs and some really nice looking projects. Um, so when you go to bid a high end job like that, why are people picking you over the other guys?
Well, the secret to winning against your competitors is by making your client feel comfortable. right? That's comfortable in you, comfortable how you approach the entire situation and with your talent stack, right? So since I am so honed in on roofing, siding, or windows, I mean, I really just, yeah, I've really built a lot of rapport with the people that I'm going and estimating with. I portray that knowledge and experience I have, and people just see it. Right. So if you had a newbie, 19-year-old door knocker come to your house and you got $1 million house, when I first started doing that when I was 19, I had so many people tell me that I haven't made enough mistakes yet.
That's a good line. I like it a lot, dude.
Yeah. And I was so upset about that back in the day. But I get it now because I have made mistakes over the period of my career and learn from them. And I will verbalize that with these clients and with people. And I would say, I guess in a very specific situation, like you wouldn't want to go with this product for this reason, or you wouldn't want to do this for this reason. So I'm able to portray that experience to people. I really try to, I like working with people who like working with me.
Couldn't agree more.
So yeah, so I definitely choose who I work with as well. And yeah, I would say people choose me for the experience, the attention and detail, right? I made a video a couple days ago about the it's all in the attention and detail. And I want to be really transparent. I feel like I'm overly transparent with a lot of people. Some people love it, some people don't, but I'm very frank. Like, this is what I think. And maybe sometimes it could be offensive, hopefully not,
I
but
run into that too.
right, yeah, and it's just I want to make sure that people aren't getting guided in the wrong direction based off what previous salesman or person told them. I've seen products and materials perform, and I've seen products and materials do the exact opposite, right? And I am not the type of guy that, I want to do as much as I like you. I don't want to do your roof 6 times over the period of my life. I would rather, through the next storm, you have such a quality product that I gave you and installed to you that your neighbors are essentially asking you who built it. So I think there's such, with my talent stack, I think it is very diverse as to why people go with me. There's so many things, I try to be as friendly as I can. I try to be knowledgeable, guide people into, something that's going to save them money on their insurance. And that is something that a lot of people don't know is, some guy comes up and offers you a non-classified shingle. Some guy offers you a class 3, and I always lead with a class 4 impact resistant shingle. 99% of the time, your insurance company is going to give you a premium rebate when you install a product like that. And I always hear it as soon as I say, this is a class 4 impact resistant polymer modified asphalt on the shingle. It's a very high quality product. When you install a product like this on your home, a lot of insurance companies have what's called a better roof program. And, it's in between 10 and 35% yearly that you can save on your insurance premiums. And I
Interesting.
always hear, yeah, they're like, the last guy didn't tell me that. Well, it's hey, that's why I'm here and why
And that
why
adds to
I
that
end up
talent
getting more
stack
business.
idea and that experience that you talk about and specializing, dude. That's really cool.
And thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's kind of having some industry insights that like people used to tell me like I didn't make enough mistakes back when I was 19 knocking doors.
Dude, that's really cool. And I think it's interesting too how you brought up the fact that you're transparent about mistakes. And I know that you're not like, "Hey, I've messed this up before." My guess is that you're framing it in the way like you're talking about like, "Hey, you don't want to go with the class 3 or the whatever type of shingle for the reasons you just listed, like not just the insurance premiums, but the failure of the product." I've been learning that in project management in that very often you're having conversations with people about budget, right? And they're like, well, there's a balance between what you want and what you can pay for. And at a certain point, people maybe focus too much on budget, and then they end up after an install, they're pissed off or angry with the product. And it's like, well, that's kind of our job to lead them and make them understand that ahead of time.
I love that you say that. Yeah, completely agree. I mean, I just heard a big time roofing company business owners say we give people non-classified or class 3 impact resistant shingles, not that they're bad, um, but they're never going to be able to get the roof approved again by their insurance company. And it's like, okay, over the next 30 years, you want to do this job 3 times. I mean, roofing is a difficult industry to be in because all of your clients are really a one-time client, or at least they should be. Because if you give them a very high quality, high performing hail impact resistant product, you're not gonna have to touch that roof
Yeah,
again for
one
40
and done,
years.
one
Right?
and done, dude.
Yeah, where am I gonna be in 40 years? I'll be 70,
Right?
71.
Ain't gonna be me out here on the
Hey, maybe it will be me.
road. Take good care of yourself. You never know.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I probably won't be climbing the roof, but I could definitely probably make an assessment on
I
it.
like that. I like the confidence for sure, dude. That's awesome. So then, um, that all sounds awesome, dude. And I think I'm a Grant Cardone guy too. I like that when people lead with those kind of big names, it shows me that they invest in their development individually. They're not just investing in the business. And I've never heard that thing, talent stack. That's a cool term we could probably dig into, but we'll try to stay on track here. And how about the rough parts? What are the things that are difficult about the roofing job in your business, and the things that you might not, maybe not as far as dread, but you're like, yeah, this sucks. It's part of it, but it's the harder parts.
Mm, I'd say one of the most difficult things about being in the roofing, siding, window industry is that 70% of leads, clients, homeowners that you end up signing or working with are from direct marketing, right? I'm wearing my Skymer t-shirt at, Cub Foods and somebody sparks a question about it, or it's really door knocking. And I think door knocking is you have to have so much grit. You have to be so tough. I have so many wild stories.
Come on, hit
I
me,
mean,
dude. I used to
yeah.
sell, when you said door knocking, I had to stay quiet and let you stay on track. But for me individually, when somebody says that they've knocked doors, you sing to my soul, because one of
Oh
my
no.
first jobs in my early 20s was that I was one of those meat guys, bro. I used to drive around in a white van with a cartoon meat guy with a steak on the side, and used to walk up to people's doors and try to sell $350 boxes of steak on the spot. You know what I mean? So tell a story, a door knocking story, and people just don't understand, like, how difficult that is to knock on people's doors and get rejected all day, and the hostility you get by knocking on people's home. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Unannounced.
yeah, I know what you mean. When we're talking about door knocking, that is such a funny subject. And when we're talking about the hardest thing in this industry, I think it is door knocking. I mean, one, you can go and canvas, and then you finally see a good area that you like. Maybe these people aren't home, you lose some motivation, right? The biggest thing to get through that is identifying your why. That is for a later story, but
Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
I have over in Minnesota, where St. Francis, people have longer driveways. It's a little more private, and when you drive up those driveways, it's in the country, a lot of people got guns and they're ready for action, right? They're ready for action.
Yes,
Oh
they
yeah.
are. Yes, they
I
are.
just last year, I seen a nice house and I drove up the driveway. Ding dong is, hey, my name is Josh Stensgard. I noticed we are in a storm damage area. We're just 5 minutes down from our office, and this guy puts a shotgun in my face and yells, "Get the heck off my property." I'm
Whoa.
like, whoa, I'm just a guy.
Whoa.
I'm just a guy.
Wow, dude, that's intense.
It is, and that'll really, really get your adrenaline going, and you're like, "Do I really want to continue doing this?"
I'm gonna
Like,
knock on the next door after that.
yeah, I
Oh,
haven't
buddy.
There is a little silenced until the next door.
Yeah, dude, I can imagine. That's
Yeah.
that's crazy. One difficult spot I always notice when you talk about people not being home because you got to work, you know what I mean? You got to go all day to make anything happen. You know that the hot time's dinner time, right? Like
Oh
that
yeah.
when people are getting home
Or
from
home.
work, 4 to 6, 4 to 7, whatever, and knocking on people's doors when they are sitting down eating with their family, dude. Who, buddy, you want to talk about grit? And I tell people because I get complimented, not in an arrogant way, but I get complimented on my people skills, and I can't tell people just how much of that comes from knocking on doors. Like
Oh
the,
yeah.
the amount of charisma you have to do or you have to get somebody to even talk to you in a decent way when they're sitting down at their family with dinner and you interrupt. And you have to. That's the time to do it. You know what I mean? Like now this is my
I
time. I gotta
know.
shine right now. So that's super funny you brought up door knocking, dude.
And I have so many stories, like, for example, getting a gun pulled on me. I've had a gun pulled on me at least 10 times because I have knocked. I was just talking about it with someone today. I've knocked probably over 200,000 doors.
You're a monster.
And oh yeah, and I mean that's where 70% of people still buy their stuff, right? 30% is building the brand of you, right? Like Josh Stensgard, myself, I am a brand. People buy you. So I understand that. So I try to do some social media content. Hey, hey guys, here's what I do. Here's who I am. Here's what I stand for. These are the products we install and why. Here's a little behind the scenes about what we do. That's kind of what I meant about that transparency as well, because I genuinely have nothing to hide, right? And then that's how I feel when I'm knocking doors. I'm like, hey,
That
I got
confidence comes
nothing
through.
to hide.
That confidence
We,
comes through for sure, dude.
yeah, and when you can get over that hurdle of knocking doors, because it, I now run and own Skyrimer, and I still will, see a nice house. It's like, hey, my name's Josh Stensgard. I noticed a little black streaking on your roof. I'd love to give you a free touch-free roof assessment with my drone I have in my truck. By the way, noticed the Corvette in your garage. I'd love to see it. How you doing?
Yeah, dude. Yep.
Yeah,
Pull
build.
pull to their hobbies and their interests right away. Get them talking about them. You're in good shape.
Oh, definitely 100%. And so many of the people that I see being nowadays so successful in sales, they did start from a difficult area. Like knocking doors is difficult. It's so when I dropped out of college, I initially did that College Works internship, if you ever heard of
I
that.
have not.
So that is where they kind of get 100 sophomores in college together and say, hey, you are going to run your own branch of a house painting company. You're going to be able to run your own company. You're going to get the experience of prospecting, lead generation, production, installation. We're going to run you through the whole thing and help teach you how to do it. So that's where I got introduced to door knocking, was directly after college. And I started that College Works painting. Well, I mean, they take 41% overhead
Dang.
when I did it.
But
So
I mean, the setup wise, I can understand that number. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I understand it now. I mean, it would be pretty difficult to, because that overhead is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
That's why I transitioned into running my own house painting company. Then from going to a rep to a regional manager to a roofing company owner. But yeah, that's where I went out door knocking. We would start in February. I would run up to someone's house, and that's what they said. We want you to hit more houses per hour. You have to run from house to house. And there's snow on the ground, it's like 5 degrees. Your pitch was, hey, my name is Josh Stensgard with College Works Painting. I noticed the peeling paint on your side of your house. I'd love to give you a free estimate.
Yeah.
No, okay, have a great day.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye. Run.
Next.
Yeah, run. Knock them down. Somebody has a slight bit of interest. Like, sweet, what's your name?
Oh, that's crazy, dude. And I mean, it makes sense because it is a volume game at the end of the day, right? And you do have to have those targets. And then you start talking about the why thing, dude. And oh, dude, you're a salesman to your core. That's amazing. I guess I don't I do have a lot of these conversations with contractors from the Twin Cities here, and not many of them have had that kind of sales experience. So that's a unique perspective. So it's cool to hear, dude. That's awesome.
And thank you so much. And kind of building on what you just said right there, right? With facing burnout and door knocking and prospecting and trying to get potential clients, it's once you get things going, it always snowballs. So there's so much, a big pot of gold at the end of the hill if you can make it through. Right. And then I've actually just read this book. This is the Roofing Sales Survival Guide by Adam Bensman.
Okay.
And in this book, it does talk about defeating burnout and identifying what your why is, right? When you go up to a door and 15 people have thrown a gun in your face, it's not really scary to go approach anybody after that. Seriously.
Steel plated mind, I've heard David Goggins use. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, seriously. And it's like, I'm not scared to go talk to anybody. I
Yes.
say hi to like everybody, introduce myself. I like to network and make new connections. Like, I'm just a people person. That's what we're in, is we're in the people business.
Couldn't agree more.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, in that book, something that's really helped me is identifying your why. And it genuinely gets really deep. Um, as to what is your why, right? And if you put that on a post-it note, stick it on your wall, and you talk about like, oh, I want to hit x amount of sales by x date. Well, why do you want to make that by x date, and why is that so important to you, and what does that really mean to you, and why do you care so much about that? It really like makes you vulnerable into like, oh yeah, it's because my future children um, depend on me. I need to provide for my wife. I want to see my dad and my mom live a great life. Things that are actually super
To the
meaningful to
heart.
you.
To the
Yeah,
heart,
to the
dude.
heart, right? So when you really hone in and identify your why, I mean, then it's just how many steps you got to take and what do you got to do to make that happen.
Yes.
Right? So your goal setting. My one of my best friends, Reese Johnson, he owns North Lakes Construction Group. He told me the other day he wrote down 101 goals.
I love
I'm
that.
like,
That's a lot.
yeah, I'm like, that's what I said as well. Like, wow, that's a lot. How did you structure that? I have questions.
That's what I usually say when somebody says like that. Like, you've gone on a number of things. I got to hold myself back because the key thing on a podcast is letting you be the star. But there's a number of things you've talked about. I'm like, I got to have this guy back on because there's things I want to ask you about, dude. We're already getting up there in time. Like, but continue. So then he asked, you had the curiosity and the 101 goals. And sorry, before you go, I want to just touch on the why piece because I've been waiting, but I'm going to put a spot in here. And I, as a guy who is into personal development like you, I love books. I've gone down a number of roads. There's a lot of smart people out there that I tell people one of my favorite things to do in life is listen to smart people talk. And when you hear that theme of why across a number of smart people, why is critically important to goals. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I would say I probably spent the better part of a decade floundering and struggling as an entrepreneur. And I always heard people say the why, and I always made my why about money. And then I realized when I had kids what a real why was. And that's why I'm so quick to point to the heart. And when you said my future kids and family, I feel like why has to be something that's not money. Now, it's just a tool, I feel like, at the end of the day. And there's other guys we've talked about this a little bit, but that why is a heart thing at the end of the day. If anybody's wondering about that why thing, I've struggled with that for a long time because I write down goals and journal and then I'd be like, well, my why. And I would write it down and it wouldn't be as powerful as I heard it was supposed to be. And that was why. Was because my why was not something around heart. When my why was money, it was not strong enough for me individually.
And I love that is kind of a focus point that you touch back on, is that why, as to why to keep going, why do you want to make X amount of dollars? What is that going to do for you? Right. And then you break it down and it's, I love my family and my wife so much. I enjoy spending time with my favorite people. I love having the freedom, being able to do whatever I want. And, people depend on me. So yeah. And, maybe it's, I want to be the man, I want to impress people. Well, then it's why do you care about that so much? So that is, and actually I have it up right here. So in that identifying your why, which is in Adam Bensman's book here,
Okay.
first thing you do is you write a manifestation, which is I have earned a dollar amount. And then you put it by a date. And then discovering your why, the first question you put underneath that is, why do you want to earn X dollar amount? Then you spend time journaling that answer. Second question is, why is that important to you? Spend time journaling that. And that third question is, why do you care so much about that? Anybody and everybody, this exercise, I very much encourage them to do. I've been having friends, family, like do this exercise because identifying that why, when you're doing something, maybe you'll just be a little less pissed off,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because it's getting you closer to your why and your goal and something that's genuinely so important to you. Because money, it's like, yeah, it's fantastic to have a bunch of money, but why? Because of
Exactly.
the things you can do with it, and money's meant to be used,
Yes.
right? And
Couldn't
yeah, so that is a super fun topic for me because yeah, recently I've been, what is your why? Put it on a
my kind
post-it
of
note,
people,
stick it
dude.
on your computer, yeah.
You are my kind of people, dude. I love it. Oh man, we could keep going
And
deeper and branches on that. And I know we got to keep it tight here. So let's do one more question, Josh, and then maybe we can do
okay,
another episode another day or something, man. When you said why and you said kids, and I talked about kids, you have been in the trades for a long time. You went to college, and I know and you know that college is great for some people and there are other routes and we need people in the trades. If you disagree with me, push back on anything I'm saying here, but talk to the next generation and tell them why the trades are a good choice or not a good choice.
well, you know what? Like Elon Musk said, what's gonna be around forever is building materials and technology, right? So, I mean, if you have a very people that go to college and they get like an administrative degree and, data inputting, like all of that's going away. But something that is never going to go away is, this 30-year-old pipe breaks and you need a plumber, the roof on your house leaks and somebody needs a roofer. Your concrete looks terrible and you want to put a beautiful new slab in there. Everybody wants to have nice things and they want to have a nice house. Everybody has somewhere to live. Every
Yes.
single person. And where do you
Yes.
live? Hopefully you're not living in a cardboard box. You're probably in an apartment, a townhome. And it's just, even when COVID was here, I was still selling, over $1 million a year in roofing because people need it.
Yeah.
It's not something like, okay, well, I'll just buy a brand new pair of shoes in 6 months when I have the money for it. Well, it's like, well, we gotta finance this because our roof on our home is leaking.
Yeah. We have water in our house. This is not something that can wait.
Right. And then it's just a genuine necessity, right? And that home service or commercial service industry, like building new things, building new homes, putting on a roof, putting on siding, windows, flooring, plumbing, just remodeling, painting. All of those trades are so important because it's just something that's everybody has a house,
Yes.
right? And it's not gonna go away. Like a fad, which could be I don't even know, but
Any of them, name it. Name a TikTok trend, name an Instagram trend, a fad of fashion. Fashion is one that you'll see. You know what I mean?
right. And it's like going up against in a clothing industry. Like, yeah, I am 100% all about the home service business. This is something that somebody actually just asked me this recently. If somebody offered me $30 million for Skymer, what would I say? I think at this point, I would make so much more than that during my lifetime that would I sell this right now? Like, I'm just all in, and I know that this is going to be here and be around until I die. Like that
That's
roofing,
cool, dude. That's a
roofing is
great answer.
never going away.
Yes.
And it's just, I met a first year sales rep like 2 years ago, and he did $50 million in sales. He did 9 pig farms, and he made profited. After his company took a big chunk of it, he still walked away with like $7 million.
Good for him.
So you can get lucky, right? That's where it comes into play as to being a good person, doing the right thing, always making yourself better. When we were talking about Grant Cardone, you know, Patrick Beck David, I've seen Andy Elliott multiple times. I've seen Wes Watson before he kind of fell off and just went back to jail. Tony Robbins, I've seen Tony Robbins before. And there are specific people that I would put for specific niches. Like, for example, if somebody wants to learn more about company culture, right? I recommend Andy Elliott. You go there like the man and his wife and everybody, they're giving you the handshake. They're saying, "What's up? How you doing?" Giving you a hug. It's wild. And I do recommend people that are new. I used to think, oh my gosh, this is so expensive. It's so much more expensive to not know this stuff.
I agree.
Right? Because, that knowledge and that, being open and, being able to overcome objections, those skills can make you 1,000x what you invest into them. So I very, very heavily recommend people investing into themselves, reading some books. Like I've got 6 books just laying on my desk right
That
now
you're
that I
in right now.
just
6 books live.
Yeah,
Love it.
well, not all of them right now. I just bought all of them.
I buy so many. I buy so many. I
You
still
know,
haven't gotten to Hormozi's money models. Are you a Hormozi guy?
I am, and you know what? I actually today I was looking at his new. I think it's called Vantage, his AI model, where it will go into a home service business. Go into your CRM, go through all of your text messages, and see all of the leaks that are in your business. That was actually, he's like, that's pretty dangerous because it could really, really expose and maybe make you feel bad. But I think you could just get so much better. It's so crazy what you can do with
I'd like to know personally, right? I'd rather know than not know about those leaks. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
100% completely agree.
Dude. So we're running on time. We're at 30 minutes. What do you want me to keep going? Because I do have a question along those lines, or should we wrap up? You got to get going?
You know what? I probably got another 10 minutes before
All
I
right.
got up out of
So
here.
tell me about AI, dude. Like the Vanish thing. Because I'm big deep into AI. Like I've 3 years ago when I got onto ChatGPT, it terrified me. Terrified me because I'm a tech guy. I got some coding background, and I have 3 kids, and I was scared, right? And I'm not as scared now, but um, I'm building a lot of stuff as a project manager for the general contractor I'm with, and I think that in the beginning, it was not ready for trade construction stuff. It really wasn't because I tried really hard. I built some stuff that I spent a lot of time on and brought it to people that knew better than I did. And they were like, this isn't going to work. And they were right. But now things are really turning a corner. And I am finding every day with what I'm building that there is a ton of potential on bringing AI into contracting. And here's where it's different than a lot of AI applications, right? Because everybody's advertising they got an app for this and, my AI app that. It's not as simple as taking Claude or Open or ChatGPT and just talking to it in chat because here's what you'll hear trade guys say is that every job's different. And that's why a lot of guys fight it because they think that the AI can't take that kind of dynamic input in. And I'm telling you, it can, but it does take expertise. You have to build harnesses and data around it for your particular situation. So tell me what you're doing with AI right now for your company.
That's a great question. I actually use AI and technology so much in Skyrim, right? So, I mean, it comes down to, am I visible and do I have a visible online presence, right? You can go in Google Search Console or Microsoft Webmaster, and with AI, it'll say I am getting 777 impressions on Roofers Woodbury, Minnesota, right? Well, I could use AI and say for my next post, because certain AI models, like answer engine models, will answer, and you can look in there and see where it pulls all of its answers from.
Correct.
So if you can force it to start pulling answers from your website and content that you put out, ChatGPT now only ranks not on Google, but only on Yelp, right? So I just started a Yelp. So it's AI can, if a homeowner says, what is the best roofing company near me? In all of the Southeast Metro, Skyarmor shows up as number one because I'm using AI to rank for keywords.
People don't understand how fast you can take over, man.
And same with Owl Roofing. Like good friend of mine, Noah Berglund and Tim Hook, they owned a marketing company before they started Owl Roofing. And man, those guys and their computer skills are next level top notch, right? You can use AI every time you see a roofing company, and they all look so similar. ChatGPTs do their advertisements where it'll say happy 4th of July, and then it's a house and then like a flag, right? They're using AI to make those advertisements or their holiday updates. All those companies are. When I'm wanting to rank for Woodbury and you go and look at my company, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, my LinkedIn, I will essentially go into AI. And the most important thing that I've kind of learned with AI is to get the best results with it is you have to become really good at explaining exactly what you want through like very descriptive prompting.
Buddy, I have never heard it said better. I mean, I try to communicate to people that try AI stuff. I'm like, your vocabulary is the limiter in what you can do. Now, the more articulate you can tell these things, whether you're trying to get it to create a graphic, whether you're trying to get calculations, whether you're trying to find data, your vocabulary and how articulate you can be in describing what you want is quality of input, quality of output.
100%. If you're, some people, if they just post something extremely basic, you're going to get, probably an answer that wasn't even what you were trying to verbalize or put into words, right? When I have an AI that will actually write an insurance estimate for me. An Exactimate line item by line items number 1 through 44, right? This AI will do it. And if you are not extremely specific, you are going to waste your money on that specific AI. So what I would do is I would go into my Microsoft Copilot and be like, write me a very descriptive prompt for a separate AI, and it will be like 20 sentences long because I am so descriptive with my AI because I know exactly the output that I want from it. Sometimes it can just write it for me better than I can.
Yes. But why it can do that when you ask it for prompt, and anybody listening, for contractors in particular, do what he said. Use the model to ask how to prompt another model or prompt your input. Tell it what you want, even if you don't have the vocabulary, right? But I think what happens then, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you ask it for that prompt and you read it once, and then because you have the vernacular from your years of experience, that specialization to prompt it again and say, okay, I like what you said here, but change it to this. And then ask it again, that fine tuning step of 2 or 3 rotations through with the expertise and the model giving you a base to work with, top notch stuff starts coming out to it.
And just like anything in life with AI, you have to do it. You have to take that information and apply it. Before I even started Skyhammer, I use AI to help me come up with a business plan. How do I prepare for my Minnesota builder contractor license test? What are the? Can you give me a practice test? For miscellaneous marketings, it's you can put in an extremely specific situation where if you own a roofing company, hey, I have this salesman who has this client, and here's the current situation between those two. What are the pros and cons versus me stepping into the situation? Or, you can just ask it questions on so many almost like life advice
Yeah.
as
Yes.
well with business
Yes.
building.
Couldn't
Where
agree
should
more.
I go from here? I want to scale. I'm currently at here. These are some of my operating procedures that aren't going so well for me and things that are going really well for me. And it will, maybe it could be harsh and you really have to take some self reflection and changing who you are. But that will help you grow so much,
Yes.
right? By properly wording something like, hey, I'm right next to a client who ghosted me on this estimate, and I'm like 3 doors down from them. I don't want to be the weird guy who doesn't say anything. Please help me with a text message as to what I could say to this client to gauge their interest as to getting them to respond with me and hopefully moving forward with the project.
Yeah, dude. And that vocabulary that you have, having rather than what you just said versus, hey, I know somebody down the street and I want to do work with them. Can you help me out?
Yes,
The
exactly.
difference
So
in output,
specific.
the difference in output you're going to get is the input.
100%. So specific with AI models. It's so fun because at first you're really bad at it.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, like you're so bad at it. You did that exactly what you just said. Like, I want to work with Joe, but he doesn't really like me that much. What should I do?
You're going to get a crap answer. No doubt about it, dude.
You are.
Yeah.
If you line by line by line extremely detail AI models, you are going to get such good results. And even with that, is like AI is fantastic and all, but I have a coach, right? My coach's coach has a coach. I don't think anybody's too good to have a coach and to
Preach.
continually be a
Preach.
student and learn. Being a student and learning, like I know a guy who just crushes in sales. And he still goes to all these seminars and whatnot, and he's 62 years old.
And that's why
I
he
teach.
crushes.
Yeah, exactly. He's a student for life. And then if you take that and apply it, that application is going to be your biggest winner, right? You just hear this guy talk about how to win for 4 hours and you go home and take a nap. No, people need one of these,
Preach.
right? A pocketbook, every single day, like, okay, this happened today. This is what went great. This is what could be better, right? Here's stuff that maybe I could forget and I don't want to.
You're a monster. You're a
Get a
monster.
pocketbook, baby. Get a
Oh,
pocketbook.
Josh, I know you got to get going, dude. I got to
Yeah.
wrap up just because I'm being respectful of your time, but I would
But
love
it
to
was
do this
fun and I
again,
really
dude.
appreciate the invite on here.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely, dude. Sky Armor, everybody, skyarmor.us, and I will have Josh's information on all these posts if you want to get in touch with him. Thanks so much for listening, Josh. Thanks for being here. We'll talk more again later.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate you, Ryan. You guys take care.
All right.